Deepest, bluest, my hat is like a shark's fin. Deepest, bluest, my hat is like a shark's fin. Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, the podcast where Matt and Todd go see a movie at our local Regal cinema, and then we park in the back far left or right, depending on where you're driving, I guess, spot in the parking lot, and we talk about the film, we share our thoughts and our feelings, maybe our happiness or maybe our frustrations, and we tell you whether or not we endorse this movie for you to see in the theater, and then hopefully that helps you on your movie journey. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy, and I like to think of it as the north side of the parking lot.
Okay.
That takes the left and the right out of it. Well, yes, we saw a movie tonight. We saw The Suicide Squad, and you had a song about a shark fin hat.
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
I assume is a reference to the Shark Man character in Suicide Squad.
Yes.
But where's the song from?
Well, first of all, I have to say that this song in my mind beat out Baby Shark, which is what I was going to do, but
Fair
I was
enough.
like, am I really a Baby Shark guy like that? I decided not to. That song is sung by LL Cool J from the movie Deep Blue Sea, where he and Thomas Jane battled some smart sharks in that movie. So that's his thrilling song. He screams that a whole bunch of times in the song. So yes, that's for that. That's where all that came from.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So we saw Suicide Squad, which has many interesting characters in it. And it has also some fairly famous people in it.
Yes.
Idris Elba is in it, plays one of the main roles.
Yep.
And Margot Robbie
Correct.
is in it. She reprises her role as Harley Quinn. I think she's been in 3. This
will be the third
movie.
Because she started with Suicide Squad, right?
Yeah.
And then she was in her own kind of, I guess technically her own movie, but it was kind of a team movie.
Yes.
And then she's in this movie.
Which is, I would call a team movie as well.
Also a team movie,
yes. Okay, and let's see, who else? We had John Cena in this movie.
Correct.
And I'm trying to think if there's anybody else who stood out to me.
Viola Davis.
Who's that?
She was Amanda Waller, the woman who
Oh,
ran the
yeah,
whole
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
She's pretty famous, I would argue.
Right. And that probably is where it runs out for me.
I have a laundry list of
A
other people.
laundry list.
Well, first of all, you have to say that this is a James Gunn movie, and James Gunn movies are guaranteed to have a certain number of people in them.
Uh-huh.
So, I will start to list those people, if I can remember their names. Almost every James Gunn movie has Michael Rooker in the movie, who played Savant in this movie, and he
yes.
was also Yondu in the Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that. Every James Gunn movie has his brother Sean Gunn in it, who he was the motion caption person for Weasel, and he also was a quick cameo as Calendar Man in the prison.
Okay.
And he was also in Guardians of the Galaxy. And let's see. Every James Gunn movie has Nathan Fillion in the movie. Fillion, I don't know. Nathan F. From Firefly and stuff like that. He was in Slither and some other James Gunn movies, but I don't think he was in Guardians of the Galaxy. He may have done a voice or something in Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that's it for James Gunn people. Sylvester Stallone was Inawe, the shark.
Oh, okay.
Who's King Shark to me. And that's how I will represent him, King Shark. We had, there's some people I'm missing. Pete Davidson from SNL and some other movies. He was in it for a quick couple of scenes. And the guy who plays Rick Flag, that I can't remember his name is, some other people. That's about it, I think.
We did get a short cameo from Tahiki Wahadi,
Yes,
that guy.
Taika Waititi.
Thank you.
No, Taika Waititi. It's
Yes.
not K.
What
Yes, he was in it, and then it just reminded me of another cameo who was in it. Now I can't. It just slipped my mind. There's a lot of people in this. The woman who plays Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxies made a quick cameo.
Oh.
She was like a dancer in the club that they went into.
Oh,
That's
think I
why
remember that.
the awkward scene of them focusing on this dancer, where you're like, "What's
Right.
happening?"
Right.
Yes, it's just to be like, "Oh, look at this person's in the movie."
Right. Gotcha.
And then, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think.
Wow.
Jock Courtney is Captain Boomerang.
Ah, okay.
The only role that I've ever liked Jock Courtney in.
Fair
in
enough.
case anyone was curious.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I was curious, Todd. I was thinking a lot.
Plethora of people in this movie.
Yeah, lots of people.
Lots of people.
So, what's this movie about? Well, it's about supervillains who have bombs implanted in their brains and are forced to do missions. And if they're successful, they get like time off their prison sentences. And if they're not successful, if they're not successful, I think
they probably pretty much die if they're not. It's like those kind of missions.
Yeah.
Either you succeed or you're dead.
Yeah.
I
guess technically you could succeed and somehow just get put back into prison with no reduction. But you also have a bomb in your head, so if you do the wrong thing, they kill you by blowing up the bomb.
You can't run away or anything like that.
So this movie, they kind of set you up a little bit with this Suicide Squad group of villains that they pull out of prison, and then they send them on a mission, and anyway, they get slaughtered, and a lot of them die. And then you get quickly transferred over to this other Suicide Squad with different people who are taking advantage of the diversion of the first group and infiltrating this island. And basically, the idea is there's been a military coup on this island, and they're trying to infiltrate this. I would say a laboratory, secret, an ex-Nazi laboratory. It's like this big tower, and so the idea is they're gonna get in there and eliminate Project Starfish, whatever that is.
Yes.
And destroy the tower, and basically it. So they go through, and Harley Quinn is in the first kind of group that gets slaughtered, but she doesn't get slaughtered, and so she eventually meets up with the second group, and they go on to attack this tower.
Yeah.
So, and then we find out what Project Starfish is, and then there's some more big fight scenes after that, and that's basically what this movie is about, I think.
Yeah.
Did I
think
miss anything
you pretty
important?
much summed it up without. I mean, it's incredibly hard to not reveal some spoilers about this movie, because you cannot talk about the beginning of the movie without talking about probably one of the biggest spoilers, which is the fact. Now, we won't say who's in what group or whatever, but that one group who you see a lot in the trailers is basically almost all killed within the first 10 minutes of the movie. It's
right.
So yeah.
So I decided to reveal that happens. I hope that's not too much of a spoiler.
I'm glad you did, because it's one of my biggest negatives of the movie, and I was going to have a real hard time rating it without talking about it.
Gotcha. Well, let's get into it, Todd. What did you think about this movie, The Suicide Squad?
Well, let me just start by saying I am very disappointed in this movie.
All right.
I was looking forward to it, which, I mean, at this point, I kind of feel like it's my own fault. Seems like I'm on a stream of every movie that I'm looking forward to. Very much under-delivers.
Just stop caring, Todd. It'll make it so much easier.
Jeez. It's frustrating to me as a comic book fan and as a Suicide Squad fan that there's been two movies and they cannot get it right. And And honestly, the two movies are so different, but they fail in their own different ways, in my opinion. And this movie is even, like, I guess a little bit more frustrating because they basically were like, okay, well, Will Smith, we're not going to ask him back for this movie. I don't know if they did. He said no or whatever. However that worked out. They're like, okay, well, we can't use Deadshot. So let's bring in Bloodsport and make him basically Deadshot. We're going to introduce this problem with his daughter. And, like, he, you know, is not a great person, but he's a dad and all this kind of stuff. He's a contract killer. Like, it's just basically the same thing with this character. And he doesn't care about anyone or whatever. And he states that very plainly in the beginning of the movie. But then as the movie goes along, he starts to care about people. It's like, oh, man, what a disappointment in that aspect. The story of this movie is strung together by stupid, funny moments. And when you string a movie together with stupid, funny moments, sure, you're going to get some chuckles, and sure, people are going to laugh. And maybe that's why there's a certain fan base of people who come out to see movies. They just want to sit and chuckle and laugh. More power to you. If you're one of those people, this movie's right up your alley. But when you string together a movie with who cares, silly, funny things, it sacrifices all the seriousness, all the character development. It sacrifices so much of the movie because you stop caring eventually. Like, it's just all about the laughs at a certain point. What scene can we put our people in that's going to make people chuckle? Or how can we, like, you know, put them in various scenes where, you know, they're going to have this quippy dialogue with each other and try to one-up each other and killing and stuff like that. And it's just a mess. Like, all that stuff, I feel, is sacrificing the story, because eventually what you're kind of falling into, and I strongly feel like the movie fell into this, which is you don't have a cohesive story. You're just band-aiding together all these funny moments that you want to throw into a movie, and you expect us to kind of cheerfully go along with it for the whole movie, and I did not. I mean, the acting's fine. Like, Idris Elba is Idris Elba. Like, I mean, it's not like he had to really... No one really... I mean, besides, honestly, Margot Robbie, who I think continues to play a pretty good Harley Quinn, everyone else, like, it just kind of just felt like everyone else was there. Like, there's some acting involved. There's, like, some scenes of, like, dialogue where, like, stuff happens, but really it's all about setting up the next funny scene that will make not much sense in the story, but who cares, because you're here to laugh. So, I just was really disappointed in this movie. And I mean, honestly, I feel the same way about this movie that I do the Guardian of the Galaxy's movies. I didn't think those were good movies. There's times when we're trying to get to another funny moment, and it's at the sacrifice of a cohesive story, and it's just the same thing over and over and over again. Like, this might as well be Guardian of the Galaxy's 3. Like, is kind of where I'm at. It might as well be. Same formula, same thing. So, which, I mean, I guess is what you get. That's why you hire James Gunn to write and direct a movie. So, I'm disappointed. And I'm frustrated, honestly. So, I'm having trouble keeping my thoughts together because of how unhappy I am. There's just stuff in this movie that is so, like, played for laughs. And then it's just so, like... Because it's played for laughs, it's almost like people aren't paying attention to what they actually see. Like, okay, so perfect example of this mess is there's a scene where someone who's not in the Suicide Squad dies. His name's Milton. And someone's upset about Milton dying, and then the other two characters like, well, who the heck's Milton? We've never met a Milton or whatever. Ha ha ha, it's funny. And then Milton is pointed out. And one of the Harley Quinn goes over and goes, oh, that's Milton, pointing at the body. That's Milton. I got it. Like, I didn't know he was Milton. Ha, ha, ha. Everyone laughs. And then there's another point in the movie, not too much longer, where she calls Bloodsport Milton. And it's another joke, but it makes absolutely no sense because you were in the scene earlier where she's literally standing over the body of Milton. And that's what I'm talking about as far as let's just string together these funny things, but it's at the sacrifice of the cohesiveness of the story, which starts to break down everything. there's other things that I strongly disliked about this movie, but I'm not going to go into them because it will get into pretty much spoilers. So I just wasn't a fan. As a comic book fan, I'm not a fan. Like this, I almost feel like the Suicide Squad premise should be an easy hit it out of the park home run as a movie. You're taking these superpowered villains, making them do a mission to have time off their sentence. And the first movie, I feel like most people complained and were like, well, it's a Suicide Squad. No one died or whatever. You know, that's kind of like a common thing that happens to Suicide Squad. So here comes James Gunn in this movie. He's like, okay, well, let me build this huge cast and kill off 80% of them in the first 10 minutes. And that's the whole like juiciness of the story that I was looking forward to. Here's a huge cast of characters. Anyone could die at any moment, so it's going to keep you on your toes through the whole movie. Who could be next? What's going to happen? It's a lot of death in the first 10 minutes, and then it's nothing for a long time of these characters, and then one or two bite the dust near the end. And that's it. That's the movie. And it's just so stupid. Like, I don't know how else to say it. It's stupid. And I'm frustrated. And I'm just going to keep going in circles. Matt, what did you think about this movie? I really worked myself up over here. I'm sweating. I'm like...
Man. Well, I've been struggling to think about. Whoa, I didn't see that car over there until right now. I know. Just the lights just came on.
We've got a rival car in the north parking lot.
Yeah.
Maybe they're recording a podcast too.
Probably, or they. Well, anything could be happening.
True.
Oh, they're leaving. Goodbye.
They heard us talking about them.
Goodbye, fellow podcasters, potentially. Suicide Squad, what did I think? Well, I thought that the best thing about this movie was the acting. I thought that Margot Robbie did a good job, Idris Elba did a good job. I thought John Cena did a decent job.
Yeah.
And the rat catcher, I thought
Ratcatcher 2
was I thought okay too.
Yeah.
The story is a little paint by numbers.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a mission to accomplish. Everything builds to the mission, and you accomplish your mission or fail at it. Whatever. That's not really that important. The formula there is present. I thought for a superhero style movie, I guess we're calling them metahumans in this instance.
Yes.
In a metahuman movie, I thought that the story was fine for that. Was it great? Did it make sense all the time? No. But I think I was bothered less by the stringing it together with funny scenes. Although I certainly didn't think that those scenes were as funny as some of the people in the theater.
Oh my gosh, yeah. There was definitely a woman in front of us who responded to almost every line that was said in the movie. Like,
right.
Anything that was said, the woman either laughed at or audibly responded to. And I just don't get it. Like,
yeah.
I don't get it at all.
If you want to do that, watch it at your own home.
Yeah, it's on HBO Max. Watch it at home if you want to talk through the movie.
Right.
I think I'm frustrated about that because I'm frustrated in myself. Like, I really wanted to say something and I chose not to. Next time I'm going to say something. I'm holding myself to that. The next time I'm going to be like, hey, shut up. Like, that's how I'm going to handle the situation. And what happens is what happens. Matt, yeah. I expect you have my back if people want to throw it out.
There could be a melee in the theater. It could be a theater blitz. Well, so I thought that the way the movie was put together, like from a technical standpoint, was pretty decent as well. Like, it felt like kind of a big movie, whereas, you know, sometimes you get a movie like this with like, you know, this isn't Superman, this isn't right. Batman. These are fairly minor characters, but I still feel like it had the weight of the DC universe, extended universe, behind it, and I felt like they tried with effects and so on to make things look pretty good.
Yeah.
So overall, I feel kind of meh about the movie, but I didn't hate it. I don't feel frustrated. I still kind of get excited by superhero movies where we have swearing and dirty stuff happening and lots of violence. That's I feel like these types of movies are infrequent enough still that it's still like, oh, that's nice. Yeah. I like all that stuff. So I will say if you like the DC universe, you should watch this movie. If you're not a kid, it's not a kid's movie by any stretch.
Not a kid's movie.
But if you like, kind of sweary superheroes, supervillains, meta-humans, then you could check this one out. I don't know that you need to see it in theaters, but anyway, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, and I would, I'm going to throw some good stuff in too, because I know I've concentrated pretty heavily on the bad stuff. But I do think, I agree with you about the acting, and I do think probably the best thing about this movie to me was I guess I'm going to say the comedic duo of Idris Elba and John Cena, where I didn't expect that to happen, for them to be so well together, like, and play off each other so well. So, I mean, that's definitely a plus. If you're a fan of either of those two people, then this movie is probably up your alley.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there are some good. I mean, I'm not going to totally trash it. It's not like it's Cats here, so I need to pull back a little bit. But, yeah, there are some. I mean, and I agree with your statement that, these movies happen infrequently enough that I can still get behind them. I mean, it's not really that, like, Marvel does any of those type of movies, period, anyway, as far as, like, a hard R.
Deadpool.
Well, yeah. Well, Marvel hasn't done a Deadpool movie. Fox did a Deadpool movie.
Okay.
Matt.
Well,
jeez.
Sorry.
But, yeah, I mean, that was an unexpected surprise that I enjoyed, for sure. But, I mean, like, honestly, a lot of the people that died in the first 10 minutes, I wanted to see a ton more of them and see their powers and, like, see stuff. And, man, what a letdown in that area. So, well, Matt, how many javelins would you give this movie?
I always try, Todd. I always put something in my mind that I want you to say, and it's rare that you say it. Nice. Today you said it.
Nice.
I was like, javelin. It's got to be the javelin.
Yeah, they made a big deal about this stupid javelin in the movie. It's like brought up so many times.
Yes.
For not even a real good purpose. It makes no sense how it comes into play. It just, it was dumb, but I wanted to see more of the javelin, the guy. Like, so... Matt, sorry, I almost answered my own question. Matt, obviously 0 being the worst because then you have 0 javelins, and 5 being the best because then you get 5 javelins to throw at various people or distance, or depending on what kind of mood you're in, I guess.
Yeah, so let's see. I'm going to go with 2.8 javelins. And the reason I fall there is because I think that this was an average movie. But I enjoyed myself.
Sure.
I had a good time. I didn't come out like you did, feeling frustrated. You're often screwed over, I believe, Todd, by your comic nerdery.
I agree.
That lets you down when you're like, oh, I know this character. Oh, they didn't do it. They didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to defend myself. Typically, I think you're right. Like, I think you're dead on. With this movie, though, it wasn't like I'm upset that they, like, didn't represent any of the characters well. It's that they made the effort to bring them into a movie and then killed them so fast that you didn't get anything.
Right.
So that's more my frustration. I mean, I don't really know anything that much about blood sport in the comics,
Right.
but I know he's not like in this movie, and like that doesn't bother me. But what bothers me is they basically made him Deadshot from the first movie because they couldn't get Deadshot back. Like,
Gotcha.
that's what bothers me. But no, I think you're definitely right on a whole. That is, it's hard for me to separate my comic nerddom and what I expect to see versus, just going to the movies.
And you don't have to.
No, I don't.
But I think that leads to differences in our
Absolutely.
experiences.
Yeah. It'd be the same thing if we saw a movie about a book that you've read and I had no knowledge going into it, and I'm like, yeah, this is great. And you'd be like, they crapped on the book. Like,
yes.
So, I'm gonna land on a 1.4. Like, I think the unexpected surprise of coming to this table for this movie was the Peacemaker Bloodsport dynamic. That was pretty enjoyable. There's plenty other giggle, funny, fine moments and stuff like that keep me interested, I guess. But I mean, I'm gonna be honest with myself that I'm let down. Like, and I'm not like, I'm just let down because things got lazy. I think not like I'm just let down. Let down because James Gunn is super lazy. But I know the people who love this movie, I'm gonna warn you now, Matt, and I think I'm gonna be right. The two things that people are gonna say about this movie that they love the most are when anyone tries to tear it down, they're gonna be like, oh, but what about Inawe? Wasn't he cute? He's the new Baby Yoda for this hot time, and the soundtrack. People are gonna be like, oh, it has such a great soundtrack. And I'm like, so who cares? Like, I don't care.
Right.
So, mark my words, Matt.
I will mark your words down that the baby shark, the king shark, and the soundtrack will be brought up by defenders of this movie.
Yes.
I think those defenders have different things that they should choose from than those two things.
So,
okay.
Yeah, so I'm at a 1.4.
Gotcha. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, where we review The Suicide Squad. And we gave it an average rating of 2.1, which is not very good. As the rating scales go, we would call that below average.
Yeah.
There's certain people who I think would enjoy this movie. Basically DC fans should probably see this. Adult DC fans.
I mean, I'm an adult DC fan.
Well, you are, but you would see this movie even.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess I would.
Even if you heard it was bad.
That's true. I am always, no matter what I say in our podcast, no matter how much I crap on a movie, I am forever a supporter of. You don't really get an opinion until you've seen it. So
Gotcha.
If you want to form an opinion, then you see it however you want to see it, and then you can either agree or disagree with me. But I do not support people who will either crap or say that this movie is awesome if they've never seen it. Like, that just is dumb to me.
Yes. That's like complaining about politics when you didn't vote.
Right.
It's
yes.
like
if you're not going to see the movie, then you don't get an opinion in my opinion. And
not
obviously
a
my
valid
opinion,
one.
carries a lot of weight, I think.
Yeah.
But
in this podcast, it carries at least half the weight.
there we go.
Yeah.
Makes you feel important.
Well, thank you all listeners for listening, downloading the old podcast, listening to it, and learning something about Suicide Squad. Please keep downloading and listening to our podcast, and we'll keep making them, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Shout out to my friend Travis, who said he's going to start listening.
Travis.
I volunteer with him in Baltimore.
Travis.
So we'll see if he actually listens to this. Da 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 da
Da da
da da da.
da da da.